So what we're going to do here, first thing is pop off this cover, and this is very easy. There's one little nipple right there, and then there's a ridge, a channel that fits in here. So when you go to put this back on, you're just going to line it up like that. See, once that's in and you've got a nice even seam, you just press it in and you're good to go. So that's that. Again, more of these snaps. I don't like them. Now we got to release this brake. That's why I chopped the tires. Brake released. We have to put a little inset, a reduction. Now, what am I saying? We have to put a little drop down. Oh, I'll show you. Taking these out together at the same time. I released the brake, but it appears as though there's still a little bit of tension on it, which may be good because, you know, they say when you lower this thing with that step down plate they give you, then you got to go under the van and readjust the brake cable because you're lowering this down. See? There's some wires here that you do not have to disconnect. But let's see. In my so this is the plate they give you. And what they want you to do is put it on here with the offset, with the tapered head screws. Okay, they give you two types of screw. One is like it's not a button head, but channel head. This is a tapered head. They want you to use two tapered head screws. Two of these tapered screws are shorter. The two shorter ones are what you need for this plate. The longer one goes in the seat base. Obviously, if you look at the countersink, they put in that. Now, a lot of people have complained about this not lining up. Now, for me to have to drill this out when it's countersunk, no, they're not lined up. This is amazing to me. How does this pass inspection? So I've got to drill out a hole in a countersunk plate. That is just, I cannot believe this. How do you let this go? I want to talk to the person that signed off on this. You know, these things, oy vey. No, this is just off a little. I guess it's close enough for government work. All right, I got to pull out my drill press now and get that done. Okay, I'm back and I drilled out and filed this thing so that it works. Use the two short screws, not the long one. Use the two short ones. And you're going to put this in this orientation where the extra screw holes are on the lower side. Okay, this is just, to me, inexcusable that this isn't built right. Come on, these tolerances, look at that, it's way off. Ugh, I'm disgusted. You know what I think I'm going to do? because I don't feel right about this. I'm going to put some Loctite on these threads because it's never going to sit right. Not much left in there. And a little tip, hold this plate against the bracket when you're putting these screws in. If you bring it out, it's not going to line up. You may strip your threads going in. Okay. That feels good. Do 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 do. Now you use these screws. Oh, I wonder if these have got to fit. These are threaded. They don't expect me to re-tap this, do they? Alright, so that cable has to drop down slightly. That doesn't feel right. I don't want to strip these threads. I'm going to put the front one in first. Bet you these don't line up either. They don't. They don't line up. So that means I got to drill out the plate. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm not going to over tighten these because I'm afraid I'm going to squeeze the mechanism. I think that's okay. I'm going to keep an eye on these for a few weeks of use. And we'll see where that takes us. But what that did now is that lowers the whole brake arm here so that the chair can spin over it. Now in my pleasure way, I've got, oh, they don't talk about that. You may have to shave out these little pieces here. Yeah, I bet you do. Nobody talks about that. There's these little support pieces. Now that you've lowered this, the support piece that would normally just rest here, since you lowered it on the original van bracket, you got to break this one away so that you can get this low enough to click in. This first one or the last one in the back on that far side, you have to take that out because now it's hitting. Nobody has ever said a word about that. Wait a minute. I could be. No, it's definitely hitting. This has got to be cut away. All right, I'm going to do some sculpting. My sculpting tool. Look at the lens. My sculpting tool. I might as well just give up on that look in the lens business. Anyway, right here, right back here in this corner, because this whole thing has dropped down, this is now rubbing on here and these little support flanges that are up inside here. So they've got to be cut away. I'm going to cut away the one side support flange, and I'm just going to sculpt away a little bit. Actually, it's right on the flange. Just take a sliver at a time. See that? I'm just taking a sliver at a time. I don't want it to be ugly. Let's see what we... Ooh! It's almost perfect. I think it's going to be a good day. Sometimes you're the fly and sometimes you're the windshield. All right, let's see how that fits. Oh. Okay, now when it goes up, You got to take a little bit more off, further forward. All right, now you know what I got to do? I got to file that smooth. All right, now there should be no problems. Oh, looks like it was made for it. All right, we're good to go. Now, in my pleasure way, I've got some sort of mechanism on my brake that I engage the brake, then I can lower the handle with the brake still engaged. And that's how I swivel that seat. This one, in order to swivel, you've got to disengage the brake. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm going to find out about that PW mechanism I have. I want that in here. It's like this thing is on some sort of a pivot. You lock it up and then the handle drops down, but you're still engaged. That's what I want. I don't like this. You've got 4 screws for the seat base, 1 being tapered. The others are not. The others look, I would call that a barrel head. And these are all Allen key or hex bits. This tapered screw, I believe, goes on the rear outside corners, but I'm going to check the directions on that. I've been boning up on my German. So we'll see what that does. Now I wish I didn't do such a good job putting this on. Because now I got to take it all off. Make another mess. Oh, not too bad. I probably should have used blue tape, painter's tape, instead of the masking. It would have come off a little easier, but this isn't terrible. This isn't terrible. That's easy. I can't wait to get in here. I'm going to put another battery over there. I got one under the hood, which actually I'm going to have to yank. I'm going to buy 2 matching batteries. One goes under the hood, the other one goes here, and it feeds in over here. Those batteries are going to operate a separate charging system for all of your phones, your iPads, whatever it is you want. All the little draw stuff I'm going to set up on a different battery pack. The one that's here, the house, charges with the alternator, and I'll put a small inverter on it, like a 400 watt or 600 watt inverter, and you could do all your little stuff off of that system, and then we'll reserve the big lithiums for the cooking and the air conditioning and the whatnot. Okay, I got ahead of myself again. I always do that. They tell you to put this protective cover back. This came from the Mercedes factory with the Sprinter, and that seatbelt hole, seatbelt wire came through this hole and it connected. But now we got to change that because the plate's going to be covering this. We got to bring that seatbelt wire up through the center. So what you do is you put this baby in place. This is the driver's side swivel base. Okay, it's heavy. You get that lined up with your screw holes. Okay, the reason you know this one is the driver's side is there's a little flange right down here in this corner. It's for this seatbelt. Okay, if that flange does not sit oriented in this corner, you've either got it on upside down or it's the wrong one. So what they want you to do then is, with this in place, lined up over your holes more or less, take a Sharpie or something, go down through the center hole and mark it. Now this comes off, and I'm going to show you the flange. See this? This is the flange for the seatbelt. It belongs over here in that corner. So now, let me just put this over here. That's heavy, that thing. So now you see what you got here? You've got to make a slit from here to there, just like that. That way your wire can get over and be threaded through that center hole. I'm actually going to make this a little bigger so it's got room to breathe. Now that wire, which I already started to put into this protective caterpillar, I don't know what this is called, somebody's going to tell me. Here comes another siren. But anyway, this will come up through this hole and through the center of the swivel base. This wire goes through the center hole. Now obviously I got this length of protective cover that you may not have, but I would recommend you do that. That's working like a gentleman. All right. Yeah. Can't get much easier than that, right? So you pick up the brake release and swivel this thing to about there. When you look at these mounting holes, only one of them is countersunk. That is for the one flathead countersunk tapered screw. You won't be able to get the seatbelt bolt through the hole if you mount this whole shebang. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the seatbelt bolt through its flange, and I'm just going to loosely put the nut on it. I can get a wrench in there. Let me make sure I can get a wrench. Yeah, I can get a wrench in there on the back side of that hex bolt. Again, whoever mans the drill press over at this Sportscraft factory, they got to get him a pair of glasses or something, because this is not perfect, I'll tell you that. Holy mackerel. All right. I'm starting to realize that each swivel kit will present a different set of problems, mostly to do with the alignment of their holes with the existing holes. If you are lucky enough to have all the bolt holes line up, then loosely thread each of the 4 mounting bolts evenly until hand tight. Then tighten each bolt down to 20 pounds. All right, you need to have 2 open-end wrenches. You can't get a socket in here. Maybe you want to put this on before you get the assembly. The seatbelt connection has a flange, everything's with a flange. Anyway, there's a mounting hole for that so that it doesn't spin. I'm over here now. So I get a wrench on that end. Oh, this is not easy. It's not terrible, but it's not easy. Okay, Boogie, let's get you in place. This is pretty easy, I gotta tell you. It really is. All right, now you see we're gonna connect these up, but the reason I left all this slack is once it's connected, I'm gonna put that protection on the whole wire. So then, you just start wrenching these babies back down. Okay, so these rear ones are in. You just roll the seat back and you do the same thing up front. And this seat's ready to go. What I'm going to do now is reconnect this, put in some more protective so-and-so, and then we'll start on the passenger seat. Put that cover back on. Mama didn't raise no dummy. I'm putting the seatbelt on first. Why would I struggle with that a second time? How hard was that? That was easy peasy. Now, having done that, you get this guy somewhat lined up, and you got to turn it a few degrees so that you can get to those bolts. We'll see how well lined up. Again, remember the tapered head bolt as opposed to the barrel head. The tapered head bolt goes in this corner with the seatbelt bracket, and you can see that the screw hole is recessed. So you just put them in hand tight. Keep everybody loosey-goosey till you get them in. The guys in the assembly department were very good. You know, this is oh, I can see what we got. We got a problem here. We're not lining up. My recommendation is this. When you are at the point where you can lay the new swivel base on your van's seat box, first step would be to check the alignment of those holes. And expect to do some drilling. Be sure to have those tools at the ready. You're going to need them. In between filming and editing, I went right online to further vet these swivels. From what I can see, these are the most expensive swivel kits in the marketplace. All the more reason to expect a higher level of precision. I'm downright perturbed. I got these bolts in. I had to drill out a few of these holes, but it works. And like I said, I want to lubricate these to make it roll smoother. But we're ready to go here. The passenger seat is very easy, especially when you put the seatbelt thing on first. You know, you learn from your mistakes. So, I'm going to line up these guys. Here we go. And we'll put a few screws in front. I think the best way to do this is to put the screws in and do not tighten them down till they're all in. The people at the Sportscraft factory, the guy that does the tapping and the drilling of the screw holes, I bet it's the same guy. So the little trick is when you're working on the back nuts, put the seat all the way forward. You need all the play, the lateral play on these sleds, the seat sleds, seat tracks. See how easy this is now? When your seat is closer, you don't have as much play. So when you're doing the back nuts, seat all the way forward. When you're doing the front nuts, seat all the way back. Once you've made sure all your wire connections are reconnected and back in place where they belong, just reverse the steps to reconnect the batteries. Begin by reconnecting the negative on the battery under the hood. Then go under the driver's footwell and reconnect the red ground plug to the chassis stud. You may have to reset your side power windows. This is done by pulling up the close side of the window toggle button for 1 second. So there's a few things that you're going to have to expect to go wrong with the install of these swivel seats from Schmattcraft. They seem to be well made. They're sturdy as can be, and once they're in, I think you got to work them in a little bit. I'm going to contact the company and see what kind of lubrication we can put on here to loosen it up a little bit. There's a few things you have to watch for. This pin lock will engage on the back side as well as the front, so it'll lock in either position, 180 degrees rear or facing forward, or 0 degrees, however you want to put it. But the precision with which these things are made, no good. No good. There's no way in the world we should have to drill out. Now, why are we drilling out these holes to make fit? Is that because Mercedes doesn't have a handle on their precision? I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is with Schmattcraft. I'll tell you the truth, I had to drill out that plate to lower this. I really should have drilled out the holes in the brake mechanism as well. This is craziness. I never heard of such a thing. And then, as you saw, I had to drill out these holes. Now, they said first line of the directions was loosen the bolts that hold the seat box to the floor. But I took a look in there. They're tack welded. I don't understand what the screws are for. A secondary safety precaution, maybe? But I didn't do that. Now, maybe had I done that, things would have been different. I don't think so. But I don't want to sound arrogant. I gotta do some checking on that. They're in, they work. I'm going to make them work even better than they do right now. But it came with its problems, as did the headliner. So, you know what, like I said, a lot of this is because this is the first time. First time you do anything, it's difficult. You have to learn the little nuance, the idiosyncrasies of the project. I believe next time I did these, I'd know what to do. Just like on this set, I put the seatbelt on first before I went any further, so I didn't have to struggle with it like I did over there. Next time I do these swivels, out on the bench, I'm going to drill out these holes, make them all slotted. You know, I know what I have to do now to make these things work. You got to tune them. They're not plug and play out of the box. They've got to be tuned. And as it turns out, I do have to cut these side skirts. I probably mentioned that already. I do have to cut those side skirts because you want to be able to use these seats in the down position as well. So I've got to find the right way to do it, and I want to get some sort of a seat channel or some kind of an edge cover. Once I make that cut, I want to put some kind of trim on it so it looks finished. I don't want it to just be a cut edge. That's no good. So this stuff goes in a different spot from this stuff. Got to put everything away. This poor guy, he did his work today. So they're in. And they're high. They are high. I've been kicking around the idea of putting in a step, a raised floor. If you notice, the floor on the Sprinter in the front here between the seats is sloped down. And you could certainly put in a step, a raised platform, so you can put your feet down. I think I'm going to approach this differently. I think I'm going to have an ottoman, a hassock, a footstool. I don't know what you call it. We call it an ottoman or a hassock. So you could put that here, put your feet on it while you're sitting in this chair, There's going to be a workstation here. The Lagoon table that you have dinner with will also be a workstation for this chair. That hassock could then be pulled out and be used with the sofa. When you're watching a movie, you get to put your feet out, slouch back. Can't wait to do that. I'm rambling, but nothing hit me in the head, so I consider it a success. They're in, they're tight, they're safe, and they're working. There's a little bit more work to do. So this is not a project that you're going to do in 2 hours and be done with it and get on to something else. This one's left hanging because I would not cut these things with a grinder or a Dremel or a blade. You know, I don't know. I've got to look into this as to how they're going to be cut. Are they going to be cut here? Am I taking them off the seat? Am I taking the seat out? I got to know. And then I'll make the cut. But I'm going to clean up, put everything away, and get myself a nice cold beer because it was a hot day today. I'm over here now. There's one more thing. These little seatbelt screws and those little covers, right? I just wanted to make sure I told you there was no need for the little seatbelt screw anymore because we relocated the anchor point. So what I did is I just put that little screw right back where it belongs, right where it came from the factory. Once it was in, put the cover back on, and everybody's happy.